Ever feel like, you're kind of just stuck in a rut, like you're hitting that snooze button on your real life?
It's a common feeling. We've all been there.
Well, get ready, because today's deep dive is like a shot of espresso, no sugar.
Straight to the point.
We're looking at you've got one life. What are you waiting for? And let me tell you, this source does not mince words.
It's refreshingly direct, I'll give it that. It really dives right into the heart of the matter. No fluff.
No kidding. I mean, right off the bat, it hits you with this one life thing over and over.
Right. And I think that's the point, don't you? It's meant to be this little jolt to the system, A reminder that we don't have forever to get around to our dreams.
Yeah, that definitely came through. Not trying to bum anyone out, but that urgency is kind of the point the book is driving home. It's like, hey, this is it. What are you going to do about it?
Absolutely. And there's actually some really interesting psychology behind that. It all comes down to something called the scarcity principle. The less there is of something, the more valuable it becomes, right? Limited edition sneakers, a rare vintage wine. We put a premium on those things because they're scarce.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Well, think about time in that context. It's the ultimate limited resource.
Yeah.
And this book just puts it right out there in front of you. Maybe to give us a kickstart, to take action.
It definitely makes you stop and think. Okay, so besides that whole time is ticking thing, which is important, don't get me wrong, the book also tackles this big idea of, well, failing. It basically says that messing up is a crucial part of learning.
Right. And that can be a really tough concept for some people. Our society often equates failure with, being a failure, which of course isn't true, but it's drilled into us from a young age.
Totally. So how do we reframe that? How does this book help us get past that fear of messing up? Because honestly, that's what keeps a lot of us from even trying.
It is, and this book tackles it head on by pushing this idea of a growth mindset. You know how some people just seem to bounce back from setbacks no matter what? Like they try something, it doesn't work out, and they just shrug it off and try again, maybe in a new way.
Okay, I know those types.
Yeah.
Always super annoyingly positive.
Right. But what's interesting is that it's not about some innate ability to avoid failure. It's actually about how they view those so-called failures. They see them as learning experiences, opportunities for growth. It's like they understand that becoming an expert in anything means first being willing to be a beginner, which means, yeah, you're going to mess up along the way.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Every expert was once a beginner. Okay, I'm writing that down. But this source doesn't let us off the hook quite that easily. Because even if we're cool with maybe failing sometimes, then there's all the excuses we use to avoid even starting in the first place.
Oh, tell me about it. I think I've used every excuse in the book at some point.
Right. And this book calls us out big time. Like, I'm too busy, which, okay, everyone's busy. Or, I don't know where to begin. I'll start tomorrow, which, newsflash, tomorrow never comes.
Exactly. It's so easy to get stuck in that cycle of procrastination, right? And that's where I think this whole taking control idea comes in. This book really wants to shift our perspective to make us realize that we're not just passive passengers in our own lives. We have choices.
Right. So, like, how do we actually do that? Because it's one thing to say take control, but actually putting it into practice, that's the tricky part.
Totally. So there's this concept in psychology called locus of control. And it basically boils down to this. Do you believe that you're in the driver's seat of your own life? Or do you feel like things just kind of happen to you?
Okay, I think I get it.
Yeah.
So someone with an internal locus of control, they feel empowered, like they have agency to make changes. Someone with an external locus of control feels more like they're at the mercy of fate or other people or whatever.
Exactly. And this book is all about pushing us, encouraging us to really cultivate that internal locus of control. Because when we truly believe that our actions, our choices directly influence the outcomes of our lives, well, that's when we can start making real progress.
No more excuses. I'm loving this. So to wrap this whole thing up, it sounds like the core message of this source is basically you've got one life, one shot, so stop hitting snooze and start living it on your own terms.
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing. You don't need to quit your job and travel the world tomorrow unless you want to. But it really can be as simple as identifying one small thing, one little step you can take today that moves you closer to something you actually want.
I love that. It's all about building that momentum, right?
Exactly. Because once you start taking action, proving to yourself that you can actually make things happen, that's when the real magic starts. So my question to everyone listening is, what's one small step you can take right now to take control and start really living your one amazing life? Figure that out and then go do it.
Love it. And we'll be right here rooting for you every step of the way.